Okay, now
You want me to start to
you can start
grate your
grating.
cheese?
We're going to use, instead of the Parmigiano that you use, we're going to be using a provolone cheese, which is a cow's milk cheese for this recipe. These are a type of Sicilian meatballs. There are many, many types. There are some where they use raisins, they use pine nuts. But today, we're going to make ours very simply with a sauce that the Sicilians would call, in dialect, agrodolce, which means meatballs in a sweet and sour sauce. So the first thing you have to do is begin by chopping up some parsley, and
Oh, it smells so good.
I'm
That's
using,
your parsley.
this is parsley from the garden. Okay, so we're going to add to about a pound of ground veal, which I have in this bowl.
And this cheese is very soft too,
Yes, it
which
is.
that's what if you can't find the particular kind of cheese that you want, you just want to find something that's a
You could
soft
use
melted cheese.
you could use this. You could use you could use pecorino. You could use a provolone. You could use a Parmigiano again. A pecorino is more classic to what we're making because pecorino cheese is made in Sicily.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to add some coarse black pepper, about a teaspoon, and salt to this. Again, to taste. And as I was telling Jen before, what I like to do is just fry up a little bit of this before I even put these in the oven, because then I know that I have the right mix.
That's brilliant. I never would have thought to do that.
Okay, so we have cheese, and if you can beat up some of those eggs for me.
Sure. I'm just
I'm going to add the cheese.
get this out of my way.
This is going to be really good. But what really makes this meatball, I think, is the sauce. And then you want some soft breadcrumbs. So these are breadcrumbs from bread that I toasted in the oven, because I don't really think boxed breadcrumbs are the way to go. Don't have a lot of flavor, and if you do your own, you know what's in it. All right, so we have the bread, and now all we need are the eggs. And again, just as Jen is baking her meatballs, we're going to be baking these Sicilian meatballs. However, we're not going to make them round, Jen. We're going to make them more like a flat disc, because believe it or not, originally that's the way meatballs were. They were not round balls. They were more like flattened little discs. And if you go into looking into Italian culinary history, as far back as Apicius in the 1st century AD, he's talking about meatballs that are made with the center of soft bread, so breadcrumbs. But they didn't soak them like they do today in milk or water. They soak them in wine. That sounds pretty good, actually.
I did not.
think
That would be good.
I'm going to make a meatball with
would be
wine.
good.
So now you have to get your hands into this and mix this all around. And while I'm doing this, Jen, if you could just take this tomato sauce. Now you want about 2 cups of tomato sauce, which Jen is putting in a pan there. And I made that fresh from cherry tomatoes from the garden, but you could just use regular tomato sauce, or if you want to make your own, that would be great too. So 2 cups of tomato sauce in a pan. You're going to heat that up while the meatballs are baking. And to it, we want to add about 2 tablespoons of sugar. This is where the agrodolce part comes in, because we've got the meatball, and then we've got this slightly sweetened tomato sauce with sugar, and we want to add also a little bit of white vinegar.
How long do those have to bake?
These are going to bake for about 25 minutes.
Oh, that's not long.
25 to
That's a
30
lot
minutes.
less time than my
Well, yours are
gargantuan
so
meatballs.
much
Those
bigger.
have to cook a lot longer. Do you ever cook them based on how they look as opposed to time? Like, do you like them more crusty on the outside?
I do like
or-
them crusty. I don't like them dry. You can also fry these if you want to, but of course you're adding more calories that way, and this is a much healthier way
Yeah.
to do it. But if you did want to fry them, then I would suggest that you fry them in, not in olive oil, but in sunflower oil or in canola oil. And when these come out of the oven, they're going to be absolutely heavenly. All right, don't they look beautiful? And they're all ready to go. So in we go.